The purpose of this discussion is to answer the question, how does it feel to lose the war for public opinion because you couldn't make the sale that Lenin pulled a Houdini? Past Tony Levin's claim that you should forgive and be the spirit of global reconciliation as represented by the acceptance quorum surrounding persecution of yours. Well, the first person I knew who ever said something mattered in the big bumper sticker way was this dude who's involved in a takeover at Wells Fargo. He runs some group called Mandelman Matters, and he used to stand around going, "It just doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter." And he was followed by this sort of gangly individual, a Father Mackenzie, who would say, "What you must keep thinking is that it just doesn't matter." Reminds me of Elvis Presley's presentation when he goes to his cocktail party and they're discussing the finer points of jazz. And he's like, "Get out of here." He's like the new Mussolini, a symbol of virility. You don't know what music is. And all the women fall for him, right? And he's followed by this gangly, weird Roger Waters going, "We don't need no education. We don't need no thought control." The idea that public schools were put together to really help society and children get it together so they could have constructive, productive, safe, and happy lives was demolished by the Beatles. The Revolution #9 killed off Bobby Kennedy, the student caller, Kim Martin Luther King, the put in these clowny acts for like Keith Richards leading the marches, whoo! Like Andelman came to my house one day. My grandfather, who was a very distinguished man, was talking with my stepfather. I don't know what they were talking about, but it was very intellectual and urbane. He was like, "Oh my God, I don't want to get caught in the middle of some, boring old fart talking about things that, you know, editorializing opinion." He bolted. And Ken Crimson wanted to have their cake and eat it too. They put out blah, 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 like Golgotha monger moshing bog blast. Like they were hangdog only once in their lives when they had to play Schizoid Man as an encore or risk being compared to Black Sabbath, who refused to play Iron Man. So they played this lugubrious, boring, disgusto rendering of Schizoid Man as an encore to show that they were out harnessed by the ego logic of Black Sabbath. It's the lowest they've ever had to kick the can in their careers. But they played, doofus metal, variations on Smoke on the Water. And then they put out, Tinkerbell tunes about classic paintings. And when it comes time to monger for the ogre who comes out of the Cyclops cave, bellowing for Trump women, Ringo Starr, the foaming beard of the castle. They don their Russian Orthodox church garbs and in all true sincerity break open the books of Gurdjieff from Kharkiv. Ayn Rand had something about it called the Attila and the Witch Doctor. And it's about all of the potions and classic scholarship and academic um, precision that people playing Magus to a barbarian engage in. And so you're asking me to rephrase the question, how do I feel about being outmaneuvered in the realm of public belief by Attila's witch doctor? The clowniac little scamperers who run at the feet of these Mackenzie gangles, going, what you must keep thinking is that education just doesn't matter. And the answer to the question is that I wasn't trying to appeal to anybody's belief. I was showing the rather strange pattern in the material evidence. It shows that Hollywood magic, ultra high Hollywood Pentagon Disney magic, was deployed for a murderous cut and paste of reality so that they could put together this strange media apparatus that they've been using for genocide and justify it by saying nobody wants to go to school anyway, while they violently abuse our teachers and disgrace them and incite the evil geniuses in traditional minority groups who are acrimonious towards public schools, like the squalid parochials and the Black Panthers and so on. The people who think that the sidewalk is their natural royal domain. The public can't walk down the sidewalk without paying them tribute, you know. The Spike Old Lees who run the show for Donald Trump, in other words. And who shall I call down on my head but people like Clint Eastwood? I mean, that's like, oh, you're nowhere near the truth. What's Clint Eastwood doing, following me around and bothering me? So you ask me, how does it feel to lose? The fight for public opinion, it has nothing to do with the fight for public opinion. I'm testifying to the evidence. That doesn't change. The evidence doesn't change. It doesn't go away. It doesn't anything. It's just evidence. It is what it is. And if you ask me, did I get tortured because I told the truth? Yes, horribly. These people were Nazis. How does it feel to be tortured, lose your life, your love, your loins, your future, respect of your peers isn't worth anything? But how does it feel to be demolished for telling the truth? It feels horrible. There's terrible suffering involved in Parkinson's. What do you think? You think I'd enjoyed being a poached eggs Benedict for a sleazy Mackenzie like Roger Waters? It's ridiculous. What do you think it felt like? How did it feel like anytime a Nazi victim was gassed, hung on a meat hook, used for a snuff film, poached? I mean, you know, that's what I'm dealing with. That's what these sadistic weirdos are. They're shameless rapists and murderers. And you're asking me, how does it feel to lose to them? What does it have to do with winning or losing? I'm willing to testify and present the evidence. You say, well, nobody believes that Lennon pulled a Houdini. I am an intelligent person. I have looked at the evidence. I believe that Lennon pulled a Houdini. And you're saying, what did I do? Brainwash myself? Show me where in the evidence. Show me one example of where I put forward evidence that's even remotely suggestive of brainwashing somebody. I did things that were honorable for an undercover agent to do. As a journalist seeking out the truth for my school, that that were necessitated only because I honor my peers more than they honor me. I'm not going to go in and brainwash them and shove down their throat something I know to be true because I heard it. I needed some evidence. I needed something concrete, and I produced it. I pursued the person that said it until I tripped them up into saying it again on paper. How does it feel to lose? What do you mean lose? The evidence is on the paper. Has nothing to do with losing. So you're saying that the Crow-Cagri Gooster Corona should be called by her real name. Okay. Yoko Ono sponsored this asshole, and she's claiming he was involved in the murder of her husband. Now put on your thinking cap. Maybe your thoughts processes are being drowned out by your Cornell West spinner beanie. So turn off the spinner beanie for a minute and think. If they really killed John Lennon, why is Roger Waters, Penis Gabriel, Paul McCartney, Elton John, and Yoko Ono advocating for them? It seems like a rather strange thing to do. None of it makes sense. And you say, oh well, it's disaggregated. It's not disaggregated. It's chronological. It's connect the dots. Everybody can see who's responsible for it. It makes perfect sense when you think maybe they pulled a slip knot of a Houdini using, because they talk about it in dozens of movies. It's in their central philosophy. They've created a media machine and then convinced people that something happened that didn't really happen to benefit the people who were behind the operation. John Lennon was one of the creeps behind the operation. Then it makes perfect sense. And the reason why nobody can vie with me intellectually, they say stupid things like, how does it feel to lose to King Crimson? It's because it doesn't make any sense at all until you look at the evidence, which says that Lennon pulled a Houdini. Then it all falls into place. Then you can see what happened. Then it's perfectly clear why they're advocating for the people who they say killed him, because it's their hit team. Understand? So, I mean, how does it feel to know that? Is that what your question is? Maybe that's what you mean to ask me. How does it feel to know all that? It feels dismal. But it is worth knowing when the alternative is to be manipulated and controlled without any kind of resistance to protect our schools. That's all I was doing. I was protecting my school.